Sri Bharat Vidyashram. This is your English teacher Felicia. So before we start with today's lesson, let us have a short recap of what we learnt in our previous class. So we had learnt about the different types of verbs and a general exercise based on comprehension and passage writing. So now getting back to today's lesson. This is about how the camel got his hump by Rudyard Kipling. This is from our supplementary, the first chapter. So children, this lesson is actually about these main characters. That is a camel, a jinn, horse, dog, ox and a man. So jinn, it's D-J-I-N-N, but the D is silent, so it is pronounced as jinn. Jinn is another word for a genie. Like you would have seen in Aladdin, where from the lamp the genie comes out. It's the same way this is a jinn. So jinn over here, he was the ruler of the desert. So this is about how the camel got its hump. So his hump, you have seen the camel's back is not like a horse or like a donkey's back. It has a hump on it. There's a small, like you can call it as a lump or a small puffing kind of a hump like this. So the camel, actually when the world started, the camel did not have its hump. So the horse, dog, ox and the camel in the beginning of the world started to work for man. So all these four were supposed to work for the man, but the camel did not work for the man. So one day the horse and the camel was all sitting in an howling desert. So the camel always sat in between the desert. So one day the horse came to the camel, the horse came with a saddle on his back to the camel. So saddle, you would have seen that a saddle used for a rider to sit on a horse. So the rider has a saddle on the horse and then he sits on it. So the horse came to the camel and said, "Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like us." So the camel said, "Hump." And the horse went back. So the horse actually came to call the camel to come and trot like them. But the camel didn't say anything but just said, "Hump." And then the next day, that is, this was on a Monday. So then on the next day, the dog went with a stick in his mouth and said to the camel, "Camel, oh camel, come and fetch and carry like us." And just the same answer, the camel said, "Hump." And the dog went back. So the next day, on the third day, the ox came to the camel with a yoke on his neck. So yoke is something you would have seen. The ox has a long wood on the neck that they use for tying up the ox or used for plowing. So you'd have seen a long, like a wood log on the ox or the cow's neck. So that's called a yoke. So the ox told the camel, "Camel, oh camel, come and plow like us." And as usual, the camel said, "Hump." So the three, that is the horse, dog and the ox, told the man about the camel that he is not ready to come. So the man said, "Three, oh three, I'm very sorry for you, but that hump thing in the desert can't work or he would have been here now." So he's saying the desert, the camel, the hump thing, because the camel keeps on saying hump. So he's calling the camel as the hump thing in the desert can't work because he is not here. If he wanted to work, he should have been there. So he would have been here now. So I am going to leave him alone and you must work double time to make it up for him. So Now he tells that horse, dog and ox should work double time, because now the camel is not there for their help. So they have to make it up so that they can also compensate the work that the camel had to do. Now do you think they'll be happy? So all the three of them, they became very angry and they held a panchayat. So you all know what's a panchayat. So they held a meeting where they thought, like, they will get some solution. And in that panchayat, the camel came, laughed at them, chewing cud in the mouth. You've seen cows keep on chewing. The mouth keeps going, the cow's mouth, so they sit and chew and chew. The food that they ate, like say 1 hour back, they have it in their mouth and they chew. The same way, imagine the three angry people, the horse, the dog and the ox are angry, and they held a panchayat, and the camel walks chewing the cud and laughed at them. So now they are literally more angry. And then the jinn comes. So jinn, as I said, he is the one who is taking care of the desert and everything else. So the horse asked the jinn, is it right for anyone to be idle? The jinn, obviously it is not right. No one should be idle, right? So as I said, the horse asked the jinn, is it right for anyone to be idle? And no, the jinn remonstrated. That is, the jinn was against it. And the jinn thought, let me do something. I will handle this. And the jinn thought, and he thought, like, as the camel keeps telling and humph, let me give the camel a lump. So lump is some swelling. So sometimes if you get, have you seen, like, by mistake you hit your wall or your head, there's a small lump that comes up on your forehead or your head, a swelling. So a lump is something like a swelling. So the jinn thought, let me give him a lump. And slowly the camel, his back started, a small lump came up, okay. And he also said that the lump will always be of help. It will not be a hindrance. Hindrance is stopping someone in doing something. Now if I want to take a pen, okay, and there is a table in between and I'm not able to take that pen. So the table is blocking my, how to take the pen. I'm not able to take, the table is blocking me. So that is something called a hindrance. So the table is a hindrance for me. If the table is not there, I can take my pen easily. So the same way the jinn said, I will give him a lump, but that will always be of help. It will not be a hindrance. It will not stop him from doing anything in life. So the camel actually came to drink water, and he was looking at his reflection in the water, okay. And the jinn was talking to him, why don't you go do some work? And the camel said, humph. As usual, the camel kept saying humph. So the jinn said, already the camel got a small lump on his back, but he didn't, bother it. So the camel said humph, and the jinn said, if I were you, I wouldn't say that. And slowly that small lump started puffing up. Puffing up in the sense, a small lump started becoming bigger and bigger. And then he told, you better go work with the three of them, okay. The camel said, how can I? And the jinn said, you have missed 3 days. The world started, the beginning of the world, you missed the 3 days. So now you better go work with them. Okay. The camel said, how can I go to work with them with this big lump on my back? So the jinn said, since you missed the 3 days, you can work now without eating, as that humph will help you. Okay. So come out of the desert and go to the tree and behave. Go to the tree in the sense to the horse, dog and ox. So he said, go to the three of them and behave yourself. So first thing he told him to come out of the desert, go to the three of them and behave. But you know what happened in the end? the camel could not match up those 3 days that he missed. As the jinn said, you can work without eating. So you have to take over the 3 days that you missed, the Monday, the Tuesday and the Wednesday. But the camel could never match up with these 3 of them, and he missed the 3 days, and also he never learned to behave. So neither of the thing, neither he could match the 3 days and neither he learned to behave. So now we got to know a short story as to how the camel got its hump. So nowadays we call it hump, the camel's hump on the back. We don't call it lump. But this hump, we are calling it not because to insult the camel or make him feel bad. It is now just another common word. So remember, don't sit in a place and keep repeating the same thing and be lazy. See, just like the camel got its hump, one day sitting in the same place, we'll also be getting a hump. So I hope this, kind of a funny story you people enjoyed. Thank you, children.